Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the extreme stream. It's a little late today. I apologize about that. I got pulled into a meeting, then I had to grab lunch as I was getting a little hangry. And yeah, been a little hangry all day today watching these markets. It's been quite a day so far. It looks like my stream's going. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Sorry this happened so late. Like I said, well, you probably didn't hear me. But like I said, I had a meeting, then I had to get lunch. I was getting a little hangry. Haas, is that like Haas F1? Are you a member of the Haas family? Thank you very much. I think the giant is going to fall. That's a tough one. Bitcoin's been a beast today. Bitcoin has been a beast today. Trung, how you doing? Yeah, sorry, buddy. A little late today. Unfortunately, I don't have really a way to notify everybody about when I'm going to stream. Okay. So yeah, the market is getting the crap beat out of it with a very large stick. And Bitcoin is the only guy holding its own right now. I mean, I guess you could say Qtum. Some of the altcoins have had some pretty good moves. OK Cash has just been a crazy beast today. I don't know what got into OK Cash up 50%. It was up 70% a little while ago, a couple hours ago. What else here? A couple of them were running. Trigger was up like 25%, wherever that is. We saw, that's most of the big ones. Qtum was doing okay, but Monaco was up like 30% at some point. MCO. Where's my MCO? Come on, MCO. Where are you? There you are. This guy was up like 30% earlier. This interactive chart really... Let's click this so my browser gets super bogged down. That's the ticket. Yeah, so look at MCO here. Look at that. Look at that big pop. It's pulled down quite significantly since. I was kind of hoping that would have a move. I was actually looking at, I mentioned MCO in a video somewhere down here. I forget why, but not too bad. Yeah, Bitcoin beast mode. Let's go check out Bitcoin beast mode. Look at this huge volume spike up here, right up here towards the 48.50. I think that's when I was out. I was out when that happened. Wow, up to 48.80. Holy crap. I sold mine a little bit early actually. I got out of Bitcoin at 47.50. I got out of Bitcoin right here. I think I was looking at my charts in a little too small of a time frame, but anyway, that's what I sold. Getting a nice support bar here on Bitcoin. Let's go out to the daily chart. We're ramping right up against 5,000, guys. This kind of looks like what Ethereum did. It came up here and it's going to top out kind of right, right near it. Don't know if this is the top right now exactly, but it's getting some good action here. This is looking a little parabolic. Really no selling in here whatsoever. If you guys caught the video last night, we know the Bitcoin hard fork is going to be coming at the end of the month. We have a lot of time until then. It just seems very unlikely that we would break out of 5,000, that we would break into all-time highs before that fork. There's just, it just seems highly unlikely. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It just seems very unlikely. And we saw that it was touching 4,900 almost there, and then we pulled back in a little bit to about $100 or so, about $100. Anyone doing anything with any of the altcoins? Anyone trading anything? How's everyone doing? Soldier Omisego? Yeah, Omisego's just been painful. Why go out from Bitcoin now? So I got out from Bitcoin. Wasn't my best trade. I was in a rush to get to my meeting, and I was just watching the action. I saw a big sell block in at 47.50. I saw a big sell block in at 47.50, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, anywhere between 47.50 and 5,000 is good for kind of a topping area in Bitcoin, and I didn't want to be part of any kind of large drop off. So I anticipated, which is something I tell you guys not to do, and I also tell myself not to do. And you know, I'm human like everyone else. So anyway, I put a sell order in just before that large sell block, and by the time I left for my meeting, I ended up it did sell, and it looked pretty good. That large block was being a barrier, and then somehow it just it just curled back up. But I'm perfectly happy just watching for right now. Sitting here towards 5,000, I'm just personally not comfortable putting in money right here. We've come almost straight up from Bitcoin 3,000. And even if you pop over 5,000, I think there's a lot of people waiting to sell. That's just what it feels like to me. When you get towards these extremes like this, towards all-time highs and towards lows, you know, the decision making becomes different for every individual. For me personally, I don't want to get involved in a big sell-off. I'm more about preserving my capital in my personal large account. And in my smaller trading accounts, I mean, they got obliterated when XRP had this huge down move earlier, and Litecoin as well. I was in XRP, Litecoin. I was in some Ethereum. I sold out of everything because all the altcoins were crashing. Bitcoin was the only thing going up, so I actually moved into Bitcoin for a bit of a run, and then I just sold up here. I don't want to be caught in a big, just a big crash. These things can move so quickly, and I just don't want to have that much capital at risk right now. I'm perfectly happy waiting for a little while, letting my nerves calm down. You know what I mean? Just kind of letting everything calm down so I can just evaluate. Two down on altcoins to sell, so instead I'm going to buy. Hey, you know what? That sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So good luck, buddy. I actually mean that. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Good luck. Hoping that Bitcoin pulls back to 4,500, at least for me. How's Litecoin doing? We'll look at Litecoin, have more Neo, which is what I wanted. That's good. Two down on altcoins, so sell instead I'm going to buy. I don't know about Litecoin. I don't know about Litecoin. This is not very healthy action. It had a very nice breakout here, and it just sold into, then volume increased, and it proceeded lower. Let's go down to the 2-hour chart from the daily. So the selling could be over for now. This is quite a large washout bar. Let's zoom out some more. Kind of see how that volume bar. TradingView always wants me to buy something. So you can kind of see that this bar and this bar, in terms of volume, are quite substantial, indicating bottoms. So I would anticipate this to pop back up. We can almost redraw this trend line at this point in time. So we go ahead and draw that. Actually, I wonder if we're going to have a channel built here. Let's see. We'll clone that. We'll drag it down. And yeah, looks like a pretty decent, pretty okay channel. I mean, if you want to, you can pop it up to here on the underside of the lows on the left there. Or you can bring it up so where it's touching this, and you can call both of those peaks. But some kind of a channel forming. Let's zoom out a little bit here. So if you consider that a channel, we're at the extremes of the channel, or we were at the extremes of the channel, and now we've popped back up. Could be good for a bounce here. Could be good for a bounce. You can, most times when things get really extremely oversold, except for these situations, see these situations where it didn't bounce up. So sometimes it doesn't bounce up, but a lot of times it does. This one, this situation was bounced up into. This situation was bounced. This situation bounced over half. This one was bounced over half. So this one could bounce maybe over half. If you're still in Litecoin, you know, at this point, I think you hold. I think you hold. If you want to enter for a trade, yeah, I guess you could do that as well. Just need, like I said, need to have a need to have a stop in mind. That's the key. It's just to know what your pain point is, so you can get out of the market. Ripple, kind of the same thing. Not as badly though. Not nearly as badly. Look at that. It's kind of getting a little bit of traction here. Look at that. Look at that bar volume. That's just massive volume. Let's zoom out on Ripple, see if there's anything even close to it. No, this volume isn't close. This volume, here we go. So this was the big run up from 16 to this was its big 100% pop. This was the next supporting pop on this large bar, and this is the next bar. So this could be support. This could be the start of the down move. It's hard to say at this point. It did hold this consolidation, which is pretty bullish. It didn't break down to this level, which is pretty bullish. So, you know, maybe Ripple does have a little bit of legs. Maybe Ripple does have some support. Maybe Ripple can make some moves. Let's draw a couple of trend lines here. Yeah, we're going to have an uptrend until this line's broken, if it gets broken. So that is still quite a distance it can come down with the uptrend still intact. Yeah, not looking too bad. I mean, it did sell off quite a bit from the highs, although keep in mind if you bought off this symmetrical triangle breakout, you were up like 30%. So that's a pretty good run. You could expect a consolidation, then you're down 17% from that level. So that's not too bad. I guess that's not too bad. Down about 10% right now from the highs, from these recent highs. So not horrible at all. Not horrible at all. Let's look at Ethereum, which just was breaking down from its rising wedge. Oh, look at that. Finally get some volume in Ethereum. I like that. See, why do I have to work? Why can't I just be trading all the time and look at volume? So let's take a look here. Look at that bottoming bar right there. Bam, broke the wedge, bottomed out right at the 287-ish level. That's pretty good. I think we were talking about the 280 level, so that would be pretty good. Coincides with this low. For crying out loud, Randy, come on here. Nice 3% bounce there. Coming up there, let's take a look at Bitcoin in comparison. Yeah, just straight up. Just straight up crazy volume. Nice little topping action there. That's what happens when I go to lunch and have work meetings. Pretty interesting. Ethereum is still going up. Yeah, it was going up. Why are we only medium stream today? Oh no, this is the extreme stream. Let me put that back. Actually, on Friday, all my conference rooms at my work were taken, so I had to kind of whisper like this because we have kind of an open environment. So I kind of had to whisper with my mouth over the microphone so you guys can hear me, and so I called it the medium stream instead of the extreme stream. So in the room I can go extreme stream, but I can't do that in my open office environment. So it's like, okay, it's the medium stream. Neo, someone mentioned Neo. Let's look at Neo. Let's look at Ethereum. Oh, we just looked at Ethereum here. Yeah, bouncing up. Already broke past 300. It's nice to see some support down here. We really didn't see, I mean, we saw some volume coming here, but a lot of this volume was this topping action here, if you remember. So there wasn't a lot of volume in Ethereum. It's nice to see it getting some support. Let's look at Neo. Neo not acting. I don't like this. I don't like all this wide choppy action. It is good for trading. You can get some nice swings in it. Let me go ahead and erase these lines. So we got a lot going on here. Let's get rid of these. I don't know if I want to get rid of this line yet. This looks pretty good. This looks like a largish head and shoulders pattern. Kind of oblong, but you know, nothing's perfect. Yeah, we came down here, pretty good volume here. This looks like bottoming volume like everything else. So maybe we've kind of seen the bottom of the markets here. We see this large volume at the same time frame in many coins right now. So maybe we've bottomed. That could definitely be a possibility, and then maybe we're just going to bounce up from here. So if that happens, maybe Bitcoin catches some more bid. Maybe some money comes out of Bitcoin. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen. I mean, look at this. We're looking at 5,000 right here on my 2-hour chart. I mean, this is like the automatic setting too. Well, yeah, not quite the automatic setting, but look at that. 5,000 is, we're knocking on that door, everyone. We're knocking on that door. I still find it highly unlikely we break 5,000. Someone mentioned in a comment on one of my videos that we're going to break 5,000 in 2 weeks. Well, the fork is 3 weeks away. It's really, if we break 5,000, personally, I'm going to have a hard time seeing the rationale for moving into new highs off of that. But you know, you have to go with the price action. You just have to go with the price action in the charts. Sometimes your 6 cents can save you some money in some situations. Other times it can cost you some money. So that's kind of the dichotomy of being a human being, I guess. Seriously, fuck Neo. Yeah, I get that sentiment too, buddy. Do you need to hang yourself with 10x? Well, you can probably slit your wrist with their card. That may be a little bit easier than to hang yourself. You're gonna need a lot of cards to hang yourself with. Bear with me. Hold on a second, everybody. All right, thank you. You got a phone call? Sorry about that. What do you think about scam news on Reddit about Bitcoin Gold and all that? I haven't been keeping up on that. I've seen a little bit about scam news regarding that. You know, Bitcoin Gold is not a scam. The only thing I can say is if you want to get your Bitcoin Gold, hold it in a wallet that you have access to. You know, a paper wallet would be preferable, whether it be a hardware wallet, a hot wallet, whatever you want to call it, or a paper wallet. I would hold it there so you can actually gain access to your coins. I wouldn't go to any third-party service. You know, Coinbase has said that they're still working on getting you that. What is it? The Bitcoin Cash. They're still working on getting you that, which kind of sucks. So I don't know if I would trust them too much with the Bitcoin Gold. I would definitely do that in a hardware wallet or some wallet you have the private keys on. I would definitely make that a priority. And so someone asked me to explain the fork. Well, let me see if there is. Can you explain the fork? Yeah, so there's been I think 3 forks of Bitcoin now. This is I'm just gonna say the second big fork. There's Bitcoin Cash. There's Bitcoin Unlimited, but I don't think that's a fork. There's Bitcoin Cash, which is BCH on your charts, which is already forked. That forked August 1st, and what that did is that basically upgraded the Bitcoin blockchain to the segregated witness. I think that's what it's called, the segregated witness protocol, which allows it to process transactions faster. They're doing another one to allow miners to use GPUs instead of the ASIC miners. What that means is that you'll have more market participants participating in Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin Cash, what they did is they just kept like the general Bitcoin without that upgrade, and Bitcoin Gold is going to do something similar to that. So you're basically getting free coins for a slightly inferior technology. And basically what happens is if you hold Bitcoin in a wallet on this date and time, then it'll register you and you will receive an equal amount of this Bitcoin. Is it gold? I just forgot what it's called. The Bitcoin Gold, and then over the course of a day or 3 or something like that, you'll get the Bitcoin Gold, and they'll walk you through how to do that. You can go to the website and they'll walk you through all that stuff. So that's why everyone's rushing into Bitcoin, because everybody wants this essentially free money. I mean, they're just going to give you coins for owning Bitcoin. But the problem with trading it is that it is taking the price of Bitcoin and mooning it right now. 3 weeks ahead of the fork, so it's a little mysterious that it's 3 weeks ahead of the fork. But we kind of saw something similar if we zoom out here. And I think I mentioned this in last night's video, actually, this very specific thing, actually. All right, come on. Click on auto. Okay, so Come on, just drag for crying out loud. Okay, so here's Bitcoin 3000. We pulled back in 3000. Then we had this big run up, boom, right here, and we stopped just shy of 3000 and consolidated. It's likely we do something very similar to that right here. So whatever causes this, whether it's people trying to lock their Bitcoins in it earlier at a lower price or whatever, then you have this big up thrust, and then people kind of forget about it for a couple of days. It dips down, and then it buys up again into the forks. The same thing may happen here. And that's what we talked about last night, is that now we're up thrusting. I said we could break down from this wedge. It looks like we're breaking up from the wedge actually, and we're just going to consolidate. So this wedge probably is not going to work out. But we probably will consolidate. We'll maybe have a couple shakedowns, maybe to this 4,600 level. And if you want to get into some Bitcoin so you can get that Bitcoin gold, that would probably be your entry. I would say look for something down towards 46. We may, if we're quote unquote lucky, maybe we get down towards this 44, 44.50 area. Just kind of have to wait and see there. So hope that explains the fork a little bit to you. Shapeshift. I have not used Shapeshift, both slice, so apologize about that. Yeah, I would definitely do some looking into about that. Anytime you want to use a new service like that, you really need to try with a very, very small amount of coin. Ian, how you doing, buddy? All my altcoins are down to shit. Yeah, well, at this point we may have bottomed in the altcoins in the short term, so take a look each individual one. Look for bottoming action. Those big volume spikes. We just saw one in Ripple. So let's drill down here. Let's go to the 15-minute so you can get a bit of perspective. Look for these big volume spikes down here. You see these green candles. Now we're shooting back up in Ripple. So just take solace in that. Ripple's looking pretty good. But just look for that bottoming action. Node, what's up, buddy? How you doing? What do we got here? Fork already happened on October 1st. If you got your Bitcoin after that, you won't get Bitcoin gold. I seriously don't know what to believe. So I believe the fork is on November 1st. I don't have the exact dates, but I believe it's November 1st, not October 1st. 98 watching, only 12 likes. Yeah, there you go. Start liking the channel, guys. I don't pump myself enough here. Edge just started popping. Good exercise altcoins to see their real strength. Yeah, so anytime you have a big extreme down move like this, you want to look for coins that are holding up. You want, Ripple's a decent example. It did have a big sell-off, but it didn't go down near towards its original breakout point. If we go back towards 2 hours here. So its original breakout point was down here out of this symmetrical triangle. Right down here out of this symmetrical triangle. This is quite some volume. Definitely is some bottoming here. There's definitely some bottoming happening here. So this is kind of what you want to see in your altcoin if you're in it. Let's take a look at Litecoin. So you see the same spike in Litecoin. That's some purchasing off of an extreme sell-off. Let's see if Omisego has any of that. I haven't looked at Omisego. So a little bit, but notice there's less. Notice that the spike isn't as extreme. Like this is a pretty extreme spike in Omisego, and that preceded a bit of a run-up. Here we're not quite seeing so much of that. Let's take a look at NEO, see if we kind of see something similar. So NEO has a pretty decent spike, not the best one, but this is what's called a hammer in candlestick charts. It's almost a textbook hammer. Should be a little bit higher in my opinion, but this is looking good here for a bottom. This looks like, so a lot of these altcoins look like they bottomed here, and you're seeing a lot of these big spikes, but you want to take a look at your individual holdings to see if you got that spike. Node, how you doing, Node Investor? Everyone go check out Node's channel. Very good videos, very knowledgeable individual, and overall happy guy. So check him out. November 1, get the Bitcoin gold. So the whole thread on Reddit is just BS saying it's pre-mined, etc. In terms of Bitcoin gold being pre-mined, the whole point about Bitcoin gold is that you can mine Bitcoin with GPUs. So it's not, if you want to call it pre-mined in the fact that you're going to be issued shares, you know, so there's like what, I don't know exactly how many Bitcoins are out there, like 18 million Bitcoins right now. I'm just throwing a number out there. There's going to be 18 million Bitcoin Gold issued, and then you can, you know, you're going to get those, and that's going to be free money. So if you want to call that, then yeah, that could be pre-mined. Take a look at ARK. We can take a look at ARK here in a second. I haven't looked at ARK. Qtum. Oh, is that why Qtum bounced today? Because they had a lot of volume on another exchange? I wonder if they got it picked up over there. Daniel, how you doing, buddy? 16 million. So I was fairly close. Fairly close. But I was using that number as an example, so. Okay, so let's look at ARK. So Node, what are you doing up here? Did you get out of your Bitcoin positions there, buddy? Let's take a look at ARK. So yeah, some pretty decent volume here on ARK. I mean, it was obviously already at lows, so it didn't sell off as extreme. But the volume, I would like to see a bit more volume in ARK. Although the volume is kind of increasing a little bit here. I would like it to be more dramatic, something like this. See, the slope here is upward, the slope here is downward, but we're not seeing a lot of price progress downward, implying that we could be, you know, at some kind of a consolidation level. But I wouldn't be buying ARK at this level. Again, you just want to see more buying, and this bottoming bar isn't that great in my opinion. I mean, it is a good volume bar, don't get me wrong, but yeah, not my favorite pattern, not my favorite chart there. Yep. Yeah, I actually sold my Bitcoin as well. Ended up I sold a little early. I had to jump into a meeting, so I got out at like 47.50. So see how that goes. The patented Neo yell from Node Investor. Good idea to sell XBT. Let's check out XBT. Can I get them on here? I don't think I can get them. I can. Where's no XBT Bitcoin, huh? That's weird. Thought everything was traded against Bitcoin. What was the question here? Link and WTC to sell XBT. Let's get a little more perspective to see if we want to sell something. Oh, this is just Bitcoin. Why is it XBTC? Is that a Kraken thing that I'm not familiar with? I'm not familiar with that. Not familiar why it's XBT. I bet you that's a Kraken thing. So actually, Bitcoin's looking ready to, I mean, this is setting up a little base here. It looks like it's getting ready to go higher. You know, I'm kind of a little predisposed to think it's going to sell off when it gets towards 5,000, and I'm anticipating a pretty hard sell-off, and I didn't want to get caught up in that. But this is setting up to go higher. It kind of reminds me of a little, I forget the coin that we saw the other day where it had a nice big run-up, and then we thought it was done. It consolidated, and you go down to the minute chart, and then you're like, oh, this thing's actually not done. So this kind of looks like that to me. On the daily chart, on the longer-term time frames, it really looks like it could be exhausted. But if you go shorter term, it doesn't look that exhausted at all. It just doesn't look that exhausted. So if we look at the minute here, yeah, if you're still in it, I don't know if I'd be selling it here, but you do have to be ready for if this thing does go higher. I mean, we're getting towards 5,000, guys. It's highly likely it's going to just break out of 5,000. That just seems so unlikely at this point in time. But right now, with this declining volume on this 1 minute chart, kind of holding up here, if it can break up out of this little pattern here towards the 4840 area, and the volume gets good again, yeah, that would be pretty good. Yeah, there's going to be a huge sell wall somewhere. It's hard to know exactly where that's going to be. Could be at 4,900, could be at 4,950, could be at 5,000, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the number is, the point is that sometimes if that gets hit, it's just gonna take out so many levels. It's gonna be really hard to get an order filled, and that's kind of why I bowed out a little bit early. And I knew it was early, but I don't want to get caught up in the sell-off. I'm about protecting my capital in this type of a situation. I'm about protecting the capital. Did I say channels are bad? Channels are not bad. Channels just define a potential trading range. So it's not that channels are bad. They just define a trading range. And if you have an upward trending channel versus a downward trending channel, they kind of tell different stories. So let's go to my regular Bitcoin chart, and we'll show you the Bitcoin channel. So Bitcoin was in a channel right up here. Oh, this is a 1 minute. No wonder it looks weird. Let's go to the 4 hour. All right, so Bitcoin was actually in a channel right here, and when something is in a channel, whenever it breaks out of said channel, whether it be to the upside or to the downside, you basically have to take that direction at its face value. So let's see here. Yeah, so there you go. So there's an upward channel in Bitcoin. Now the general rule when it comes to channels, is an upward sloping channel or even a trend line will break to the downside, and a downward sloping channel will break to the upside. So this one did break to the downside, but it doesn't mean it can't curve up, which is exactly what this one did, right? So the fact that you see channels isn't a bad thing. It's just something to notice. It's not a good or a bad thing. Sometimes if you see a downward sloping channel like this could be a little downward sloping channel. Go ahead and draw this out. You know, I would be, and I think I was, fairly bullish at this point in time. It obviously didn't work out. As you can see, we broke to the downside here, but you don't take a trade on a channel except for you can trade a channel from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, and that works really well until it doesn't, right? That works really well until it doesn't. But when it finally breaks those channel walls, you need to respect the break and go in that direction. Yep, selling into strength is definitely a good strategy. You cannot go wrong with selling into strength. The only hard point sometimes is knowing what is strength and what is just the start of a run. Sometimes that's a little bit more the art to chart reading than it is, you know, actually defining what strength is. But and it depends on your time frame. So if you're in a minute chart, I would definitely sell into strength if you're like day trading on a minute type of a chart, on a 5-minute chart. If you're trading on the daily, if you're trying to swing trade something, selling into strength means you're selling into daily strength, so you want to take a different perspective. But your time frame always comes into account no matter what your strategy. Lisk. Yeah, let's take a look at Lisk. The coin that everyone likes but doesn't like you back. Yeah, so Lisk is like the girlfriend that you like that just doesn't like you back, or the girl in class that you like that just won't talk to you, won't give you the time of day. You keep looking at her, but that's not going to make her like you anymore. So there's some interesting volume here on Lisk. Like the only volume pretty much since a month ago, 3 weeks to a month ago, is on this bottom. So yeah, it would be good if we could break out. There seems to be a little bit of a declining trend line here. So we do have a natural resistance area. Come on. We do have a natural area right here of resistance at this, what's this, like the 475 level, somewhere around here. We're above that right now, which is good. If you did want to take a position here, you know, it wouldn't be a trade I would take, but if you're hell-bent on buying Lisk down here due to this volume or whatever your rationale, I would make sure you have a stop somewhere underneath these levels right here. Because this is not, the right side of this chart is not bullish whatsoever. Just because we have one good bottoming candle doesn't necessarily mean we're done. Please let Omiso go below $5. That's a long ways away from here. 720. 720. Yeah, we broke below that $8 level. So this is what I'm talking about, folks. If you like a coin, if you want to trade something and you're saying, oh, this coin's at a low, You know, we talked about this over here. We've been talking about Omisego. You know, it's up 2,500% from its ICO. It never really had a proper pullback. It had consolidations, but it never had a proper pullback or correction. And so now we have a change in behavior where we went from, let's go to the dollar or the daily, just to show you here. Ooh, that's too much. Okay, there we go. So, man, I'm not having good luck with these charts today. I apologize. Okay, so we had a big run up, 2,500% from the ICO up to this high at 1350. Never really had a pullback. It was just base after base after base after base after base. And then we went higher, and then we finally had a big shakeout, all-time highs, test of all-time highs, so a double top up here. So it's had a big change in behavior where it went from being very sideways and consolidation after consolidation to just very wide, and it's called wide and loose. This is kind of like called tight action here, and then this is very wide and loose action, and you want to be scared of wide and loose action. So due to this 2,500% run up, it's going to have a big time consolidation and probably a depth consolidation as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it held up above this 650 level. In fact, that'd be very, very bullish for Omisego. But if it did, it would definitely probably take till towards the end of the year for this thing to really see some more pushes into all-time highs. Doesn't mean that you can't trade in this pattern, but if you're looking for it to, you know, push up to 13 instantly, it's very, very highly unlikely to happen. These big run-ups, as we've seen time and time again, you look at NEO as an example. NEO had a massive run-up. Let's go to NEO. So NEO had a massive run-up, and I don't get it on my Bittrex charts, but this thing had a huge run-up, and it's just been consolidating. It came all the way back down. It has a long time consolidation as well as a percentage pullback. So you have time and price both kind of need to be worked out before people get excited about these coins again. Okay. Yeah, you keep looking at her, but she's flicking her hair and doing new things. And maybe she's just playing with you too. Metal's crazy cheap right now. Hold Ripple? Yeah, possibly. I think you can probably hold Ripple here, from what I've seen. You need to give yourself need to have a place that you're, you know, the money you're willing to risk that needs to be defined. So you have to define that. BOT looking like it bottom. Should I sell Ripple? Let's look at Ripple. There's a pretty definitive question there. So we're selling back off here, it looks like. Let's go to the 15-minute. So we're selling off. The volume is a little bit lower. Yeah, so the volume's trailed off as of these last 4 bars. This could be a dead cat bounce right here. This could be a dead cat bounce. If you have Ripple, that's a tough one. Again, you have to give it a drop dead point where you're going to say enough is enough. I'm not sure if you're in from up here. That's going to be pretty hard for me to tell you to hold on to it. If you're in from this level, I say you give it to the low of here. If you're in from here, if you want to protect profits, you can give it kind of to the bottom of this candle. Other than that, just depends on where you're in. Just depends on where you're in. If you're up, if you're down. But overall, the price action. Let's go to the 15-minute again. So overall, the price action looks pretty good in terms of this being a bottom. I can't say it's the bottom. We did have a bounce up here. The volume is pretty good on the bounce, so there's some buyers of Ripple. And then now we're selling off a little bit, but the volume is a little benign. We have 22 seconds left in this 15-minute bar, so this bar is going to close off with this volume being very low. So this could be a dead cat bounce. This could be a consolidation before we move upward. You just kind of have to let it play out and set yourself a stop loss. You always have to have a plan. What about IOP? Always does a good run. Yeah. So yeah, IOP is an interesting one. IOP does always have good runs, but again, if we kind of like we talked about with Omisego, if you get that kind of change in behavior where it starts to act differently, then you can kind of throw all that stuff out the window. So it was acting very constructive, and even these pullbacks were very orderly. This is not a not orderly pullback. I won't call it orderly. It's a little less orderly in my opinion. And this bounce isn't very high. In a situation where you have a bottom like this, what you want to do, let's do this. So we can take this. Let's use this as an example. This has a base, so I won't consider that base, but this has a base. So what I'm saying is that this is a V bottom. There's no base down here. There's no defined consolidation level. This is a defined consolidation level. But what you do here is on the big pop up, you want to wait for it to consolidate, and then you buy on that first consolidation point. So like over here, if we take this out of the mix, we have a pop up and then a consolidation. Then this is pretty much where you want to buy. Maybe if you're aggressive, you can buy down here. But you need to find a place out of a pop, out of some strength to buy from. You don't want to buy on that first pop. That would be buying a bottom, and that's very difficult to do. And especially if you don't have a strategy for that, it can be account suicide in many cases. If you can't read charts, you're screwed to trade. Yeah, if your plan is to trade, reading charts is part of a toolbox that you need to have, and it's the big hammer in the toolbox, in my opinion. If you don't know how to read charts, if you don't know how to ascertain price action, then you're basically trying to build a house without a big hammer. At some point, you're going to need that big hammer. You can get lucky, you can get caught in some uptrends and take some arbitrary positions, and kind of, a rising tide lifts all ships, is a saying. And so if you're in a bull market, it's easy to trade. But the problem is that when you're not in a bull market, how do you figure out what to do? And if you don't know about support and resistance levels, if you don't understand kind of how prior highs and lows kind of run together, then it can be very difficult to come up with a game plan. Lisk is going to the moon very soon. Jonathan, do you have any specific rationale for that? I'm willing to entertain your opinion. Do you want to explain your rationale? Because according to the Lisk chart, it doesn't say that. Qtum looking quite good. Let's take a look at Qtum. Frederick always has good things to say. Not sure if quite good is my opinion right now. So this is a very large selling bar right here. Popped up. Looks like it went down, popped up, and then came all the way back down here. So that's a nice accumulation, a bit of an accumulation right there. And then low volume, and then big volume. So let's take a look at your little indicator there, Frederick. Frederick found a pretty neat little indicator that I started to play with. He likes it a lot. I think it has a lot of potential. This buy-sell pressure, buy-sell volume pressure, this actually kind of gives you a little bit of insight into what the buying and the selling is in the coin. So as you can see here on this big wide bar, it's pretty much equal buying and selling. Buying's a little bit heavier than selling. So yeah, not my favorite to be honest with you, Frederick. I don't like these broken down patterns, and this isn't really, I don't find this to be healthy action. BCC, that's the one with the chart that you can never figure out what the hell's going to happen, right? Oh, you can tell what's going on there. Wow. Oh, Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, so you want to know what the hard fork is going to do. Maybe something like this. Maybe, a big pop-up initially, and then big pop-up, then a huge sell-off, and then a consolidation and a huge pop-up, and then just a series of waves down. Yeah, we don't buy things pointing down. We just don't. We just don't. Don't buy anything pointing down like this. Now, if this chart was upside down, if everyone takes your computer and turns it upside down, that would be a good looking chart. And you still wouldn't be buying it there, you'd be buying it over here. This is a type of a chart that you want to short. This would be a great short right here. Any of these pops would be a good place to short this particular coin. You want a lesson on shorting? Read this chart. Let's see here. I have not looked at metal yet. Some key beginner tips for you. I've got a great beginner tip for you if you're a beginner. Trade with a very small amount of money. That's the best tip that anyone's ever going to give you. Trade with a very, very small amount of money to begin with. If you're trading with 500 bucks, trade with $50. Trade with $20. Pretty much the smallest amount that you can trade with and still get market exposure, trade with that, because 90% of traders blow out their accounts very quickly. In stock market, it's 1 year. In cryptos, I'm going to guess it's going to be even sooner than that. So trade with a very, very small amount of your position. And you know, look at a lot of videos on technical analysis. Get a lot of books. You want to read those. You want to be very educated. This is a career. This is not something that you do lightly with your money. This is something where your money is at risk. So another tip would be only trade with money that you don't want. I'm not even going to say can live with that. I'm just going to say don't want, because you may not have that money in the near future. All right, so sorry, I forgot your name. The Abe Element, I forgot your name there. I apologize. It's been about a week, I think, since you told me. But you have a good question. When drawing resistance support lines, is it right to draw the line on the tops of some candles and the bottom of others? So when you're drawing support and resistance lines, what you're looking for, let's see if I can find a, well, let's look at Bitcoin. Why not? It's pointing up to the sky. Let's go down to a 2-hour chart maybe. Okay, so support and resistance lines. So first of all, here's a support line right here at this is the most recent low in Bitcoin. Pretty much the only pullback it's had recently is this level here at what, 41.50, something like that. So when you're drawing resistance lines, resistance is something, I'm sorry. This is a support line. A support is something that gets bounced off of. So it comes into the support, it bounces off of the support. And resistance, if we carry this over here, the same line could be considered. Let me redraw this appropriately. There we go. Okay, so at this particular point, we have a resistance line here, and this same line becomes a support line here, here, and here. Okay, so support and resistance lines in a lot of cases are the same line. They're not different lines. Support becomes resistance, and when it's broken, resistance becomes support. It's very interesting how that happens. The psychology behind it is kind of strange. I don't fully understand it, but so here we have resistance. We pull back, we come up to it, and then we flag out just below the resistance. We break through it. We come back down beneath it, and we break up it again. We support it here. So here it's resistance, here it breaks resistance and becomes support. Now, you want to draw them at the highs if you're, just depends if you're drawing a support or a resistance line. So here's a resistance line right here. So at this point, you definitely would draw it at the top of the bar. There's a question is, if you're trading with candlesticks, do you draw it at the top of the wick or the top of the bar? So that's kind of another conversation. So let's kind of drill down here and look at this line. Let's see here. Come on. Sorry guys, when I stream, this computer is very laggy. Okay, so in my opinion, ideally, you want to draw your line across where it hits the most points. It doesn't matter if it's the wick, it doesn't matter if it's the candle itself. You want to draw it where it hits the most points, because that would indicate a stronger resistance or support level. Okay. Now, if you're drawing on the top, you're drawing resistance lines. If you're drawing on the bottom, then you're drawing support lines. So there's a mini channel right here. If I draw this, there's a mini channel right here in Bitcoin. Okay. Now, support and resistance, they do get tested. They do have fake outs. This is called a fake out right here. It's called a bear trap, if you want to call it that, before it comes up. So this would be drawing resistance. This would be drawing support. Just depends which one you're drawing, whether you're drawing on the top or the bottom. Oops. Yeah, we'll look at Ethereum again. Daniel, you're welcome, buddy. I'm glad you learned that lesson. Everyone, read this statement by Daniel right here. I don't buy bottoms anymore thanks to you until I see a real turnaround. Saved my account big time, I think. Yeah, so that's very good. You know, it's hard to pick bottoms. It's really hard. If you want to do that, study it. You know, look at a lot of bottoms, see what you can find, look for different confluences. Maybe you want to get into Fibonacci's then if you want to pick bottoms. Maybe you look at Elliott waves. Maybe you look at some of these other things. They can kind of ascertain what a bottom is. So that can be useful too. I haven't looked at metal yet. Let's check out metal. Kind of blow through these real quick here. Sorry guys. You guys get me started with all these, you know, technical conversations, and I just get lost in them, and it ends up taking all of our time. And you guys want me to look at really small altcoins. Come on. Oh, here? Is that one? Hey, there's a button that does that. Good. I didn't realize that. Okay, looked at metal. Don't like it. Okay. What about Chainlink? Link. Let's look at Link. I don't see Link on TradingView, so I'm not going to look at Link, unfortunately. Big market spread on metal. Elliott wave is legit. Elliott waves are pretty legit, I'll be honest with you. I haven't taken the time to really master them. They do take a little bit. There's a little more art to Elliott waves than science, it seems to me. So I haven't really spent the time to do that. ETH. What's ETH doing? 294, getting sold back down into again. So yeah, Ethereum, if you guys checked out my post on Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, my handle is @realcryptotrade. Some guy took real crypto and hasn't used it for 4 years, so I don't have that handle, but I do have @realcryptotrade, and I actually pointed this out that this wedge in Ethereum is breaking down. We're really seeing a huge divergence between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't think that's healthy for the markets as a whole. I don't see how that can be a good thing. When these two diverge, it's kind of like if you're trading stocks. If you ever traded U.S. stocks, we have indexes: the S&P 500, the Dow, the Nasdaq, things of that nature. And anytime you have indexes diverge, it's usually not a very good sign. Indexes diverging is something where market participants are split, and therefore money is going to be put into different camps. And that usually doesn't bode well for stocks in general, because the two camps will fight each other. While Bitcoin here is broken up out of its rising wedge and with some gusto and on some volume here, Ethereum has done exactly the opposite. Broken down. It's been the weaker of the two coins. We've noted that for quite some time, especially since this inverted head and shoulders didn't work out. So we just kind of have to deal with that. ADA, what's ADA doing? Traded ADA over the weekend, actually. And I found it thanks to you guys in the chat room, so I appreciate that. They actually had a pretty good triangle here Had a nice run up, a nice consolidation. I actually bought this right on this breakout. Went to bed and came back, and I was stopped into. So I missed 10% twice this weekend due to sleep. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But yeah, since it's broken down, I'd keep an eye on ADA. I think it has a good use case. I think the technology is promising. It is a recent ICO, so I would wait for levels to be taken out. I would wait for levels to be taken out because it could flounder around for quite some time. So what level to be taken out if you're asking? I would say this high right here at this, what is it, 490 satoshis right here. And then if you miss that, this 530. If we can break out of these two levels, this thing could have a really, really, really good run. But I don't know when that's going to happen. You could have dead money in here for weeks and months. Hard to say. Like ETH and ETH Classic, okay. How do you know which chart timeline to use? So the chart timeline, Steven, is really going to be based on how you trade, okay? Everyone trades differently. So the first thing that's good to do, well, you can't look at a daily chart on an ICO because it just doesn't give you enough information. But you want to look at the widest time frame you can to get a feel overall for what's happening. So like with Bitcoin, obviously we know we've been in a huge run, and you know everyone's rich now, right? We've been in a huge run in Bitcoin. We all know that. Now, if you're looking at this and you go, okay, we're getting here towards all-time highs, I think it's going to go higher, and you want to put a trade on, what you can do at that point then is dive a little deeper and just kind of see the more intermediate time frames. Maybe what you'll notice is there's selling coming in at tops. There's large red bars all over the place. You know, where you didn't see that on the daily chart. As you zoom in to the smaller time frames, you can kind of see that. So let's get over here, kind of where it was choppy. Okay. So here we see a lot of selling pops. Here's a bottoming candle. Here's a popping candle. You can get a lot more information on the intermediate term with like the 2-hour chart. I actually like the 2-hour chart quite a lot. It's one of my go-to time frames. It brings you out enough so you can get a good perspective and kind of shows you enough volume accumulation. You can get the full story. But sometimes you need to dive down to the 15-minute. And if you're in a really small coin, sometimes the 1-minute chart, just to get a real feel for what's happening. Like for instance, there's I think it was ADA. No, it wasn't ADA. There was a coin we were looking at. It was running up. It was up 30%, and then we ended up watching it run to 80% up for the day. And we only really saw that it was a healthy move between those two extremes based on the minute chart. It really looked very toppy on the 2-hour chart, but when you dove into the minute chart, you could see that volume was drying up, and you could see that you know, there wasn't a lot of selling. All right, let's check up with the things here, with the chart here. What do I think of the current Neo chart? Let's look at the current Neo chart. All right, here's Neo. Well, not a big fan of the current Neo chart. It's not really a double top. You could maybe call it a double top. This right top was a little low for me, but we have a lower high in at least, and now we have a lower low. So the trend has shifted a little bit here, where here we had a higher high and a higher low. Now it's since been reversed. So we have a lower high and a lower low, indicating that a possible downtrend is in play. Doesn't mean we can't see a bounce here, maybe up into, you know, this 35.50 level, kind of something like this. Because if we notice, it tends to do these sideways moves like this. So maybe we get some action where it goes up. Doesn't mean, you know, you can make some money here. Don't get it twisted. You know, you could get a 22% run if it decides to move up. If this becomes a channel, if this becomes a type of a channel, you definitely can make some money off this channel, especially because considering we're going to be sitting here at lows. Let's clone this, and we'll just take this and bring it down. The reason why I clone these is I just want to make sure that it's a real channel and isn't some arbitrary trend line that I'm drawing. So I'll take this out of the mix. Oops. I'll take that out of the mix there. So now we have kind of a declining channel, which actually, if you remember what I said earlier, declining channels in the long term break to the upside. So in the longer term, this is good for NEO. In the interim, we may chop around this, and you can really do anything within the channel. It doesn't mean it goes straight up and straight down, kind of like it did here. It doesn't mean that that happens. It just means you're basically range bound for the time being. So longer term, this is bullish for NEO. In the shorter term, it's going to be pretty choppy. Now, at this level, look at how much channel you have above you versus how much channel you have below you. That could be pretty good risk reward for a trade. So thanks for joining us. There's 104 people here. I appreciate that. If you don't subscribe to the channel, please consider doing so. Number one, it's just a button press. It helps me out a lot. And if you do the alerts, I do daily videos and I do live streams. I try to do them every day. This one is a little bit late in the day, but I do try to do them every day. So thanks for joining us. Never enough NEO. Okay. Eon, Stratus, ADX, and ARK. You got a grocery list there. And some of those we're interested in, so let's go ahead and take a look. Eon was the one the other day where we had to dive down to the minute chart and actually see that we were good. Eon was that one. So yeah, we freaking watched this thing go up like gangbusters. That was that was a live stream, so that is on my channel if you want to watch that. I think I have it in the title of the stream video, so if you want to watch that in real time and kind of my reaction, kind of the chat room's reactions. I think we watched it from here, and we watched it go all the way up there. Maybe it was here, but I think it was down here. Yeah, so Eon here, really not much happening. Don't see any volume on this 2-hour chart. I'm not really interested. Set an alert over maybe over some kind of level, maybe up here towards the 44 level, maybe something like that to wait for some movement. And let's see. Yeah, Stratus. Actually, I think I have Stratus right here. Take a look at Stratus. Ooh, that's horrible. That's not good. Next. Next. Pointing straight down. Don't trade things that point straight down. Look at it against Bitcoin. Sure, why not? Ooh, pointing straight down. Next. ARK. If ARK's pointing straight down, you've struck out, my friend. You've struck out. Let's go sit on the bench for next time. That's pointing straight down too. All right, Christian, none of those are good. None of those are good. Okay, start my crypto investment in Tether. It never moves. Can you check out that chart for me next? Yeah, let's take a look at Tether, Cursed. No problem. No one mentioned what Tether is. There's Tether dollar somewhere. So actually what Tether is meant to be, there it is. What Tether is meant to be is a cryptocurrency equivalent for the US dollar. It's actually, unless you're thinking of a different Tether, am I thinking of someone thinking about a different Tether? All right, come on. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so if you're actually looking at Tether, Tether is meant to literally be the US dollar. Okay, it's really literally meant to be the US dollar. So you don't have to sell into US dollars and kind of take because if you're in the United States and you sell into the dollar, it's considered a tradable event and you have to count it for your taxes. If you trade into Tether, then you don't because you're not literally trading into the dollar. It is a dollar equivalent. So technically, this thing should be pegged at 1 and never move. Oh, Kirsch, that was a joke. That was a, you know, I know you've been in here a while, and I was pretty sure you were, you knew better, but I don't want to say anything. But hey, maybe you just helped somebody out. So maybe you just helped someone out. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. It's been an hour now. I'm gonna get back to my working life. I do have a few things to do. Tomorrow on my live stream, let me talk about the rest of the week actually, folks. I've got a very busy week. Tomorrow I may or may not be able to stream. It's 50-50 at this point in time. I should be in the office by then. So tomorrow maybe a go, Wednesday maybe a go, Thursday and Friday I have family in town, so I may not be here Thursday and Friday. I'll see what I can do. Looks like you guys like the stream a little bit later in the day, so I'm going to maybe try to do it a little bit later like I did today. Frederick Monaco. Let's look at Monaco. Haha, just when I say I'm leaving, you guys throw up an interesting coin. Of course, Frederick always throws up interesting coins, so. Monaco was looking interesting earlier today. Had a big 30% up thrust. It was one of the few on my chart that was big. And yeah, if it can get over this high of $9 on Monaco, I'll be interested. This thing has a history of being choppy, just a history of being choppy. So it needs to prove itself to me that it can do something. So, all right, guys. Yeah, right, Daniel. That's pretty much how I roll. I pretty much do that every time. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here, and someone yells out a coin. Yeah, let's look at that one. Oh God, you guys are gonna get me fired. All right, BitConnect. Fine, twist my arm. Yeah, if it's a coin that I haven't really looked at in a while, I don't mind looking at it one bit. Yeah, the choppiest, weirdest trading coin of all time. I just don't deal with this coin, to be honest with you. It's just a pain in the butt. I can't ever get a beat on that. I don't think I don't have full history here, but yeah, I don't really trade much in BitConnect. I don't know much about it. The chart is garbage, and I just don't trade garbage. So, all right, guys, there you go, guys. Have a good day. Blah, blah, blah. I will see you guys later. Hopefully, tomorrow should be okay. Wednesday, maybe Thursday, Friday. All right, we'll talk later, guys. Have a good one.